back. So you know how Apple does. Phone got a little bit too hot. Conversation got a little bit too spicy. You know. So I'm gonna have to move y'all. I'm gonna move y'all over here in the shade so that the sun isn't direct camera. But yeah, so I had to switch. I had to actually have to switch devices to let my other device cool off a bit. So obviously changed angles so that the sun, like I said, is not directly on the camera. But yeah, so like I was saying, you know, yes, surplus, deficit, it's all from the same energy. It's still excess, right? It's excess from in either direction, right? And so it's either an excess of lack or an excess of abundance. But it just depends on what it is that we're talking about. Because yes, having a lot of money, yes, who doesn't want that, right? Having a lot of money, right? Having a deficit of money, or an excess of lack of money, right? Who does want that? Do you see what I'm saying? So yes, all of these things are to be taken into context, and all of these things matter, but it depends on what you are talking about. So here's the thing, because I am not in the business of just providing these feel good tropes and things like that. Like I said, I really want people to be informed. I really want you to understand, right, exactly what it is that is being communicated. Because one of the things about truth is that truth doesn't need any proof. Truth can be felt, right? You actually feel truth on a cellular level. So this is another reason, y'all, my Oreo's hair be floating all over the place because I come out here and brush him. But anyway, truth is something that can absolutely be felt, right? You already know too much truth, too real for him, but it ain't gonna stop nothing. Nothing will be stopped. You understand? Like I said, I just had to switch devices, right? And let it cool down a little bit. But either way, right? So we're talking about making sure that your cells have what they need for adequate cellular integrity. So when it comes to eating these summer fruit, eat the seeds. Eat the seeds. I was telling my mom the other day, and I cannot be convinced otherwise, that seedless fruit, specifically fruit that is meant to have seeds, that has been modified to not have seeds, you're not going to even tell me that's not a form of, genetic warfare, or, yeah, that's the word, genetic warfare. Because the seed is what contains the information. That's where the information is. Not saying that there's not information in the juices and all of those things, because absolutely. But when we're talking about the seed, it's the seed that you plant in the soil, right? It's the seed that you plant that allows something else to grow. And this is another reason why I like being out in the sun, because as a melanated being, as a solar, as a being that is solar powered, right? And also powered by the lunar moon and all of the things, right? But as a cosmic level being, absolutely Mick Swagger. I like that name, Mick Swagger. Very cool. But yes, that is where the information is. So you plant that information into the soil and you nurture that, right? You give it the structure that it needs in the soil. Then you nurture that, you water that, you give it sun, you give it what it needs to thrive so that new life can be created. The same thing happens within your body, right? You eat, this is why I call it a live it. So you eat foods and you consume things that are actually going to help you to live, right? That is going to help you to survive. That's going to help you not just survive, but to thrive. Because the way that most of us have been conditioned to live is in survival mode. In survival mode. And so when I look at seedless fruit, that is exactly what I see. It is an attempt, and it is a way to keep people in survival mode. Because guess what you can't do? You can't plant a seed and grow your own. You can't do that if you have seedless fruit. You have to be dependent on external systems, right? And this is why it's so important for those who are the holders and the carriers of seed to be healthy. Not, and please understand, do not misunderstand what I'm saying. Not just for the purpose of having babies and all of that kind of stuff, but just for your own life force, for your own life force. And so cellular integrity. That means that it can stand, it can survive on its own, right? Not saying that it doesn't need the rest of the body and all of these things, but it can be insulated from, things like, what do you call free radicals, right? So free radicals, if you're not familiar, they are these, how do I describe them? Is it, yeah, molecules, right? So they are molecules that are destabilized. So they're not stable. And so I look at it like you're in the middle of the ocean, right? You know how to swim. You're in the middle of the ocean, and there's somebody in the ocean that needs your help, and they're flailing and all of these things, right? And you jump in to save them, right? And the first thing that they tell you, and here's the thing, I'm not a deep sea diver like that, right? And so but I'm just saying, I understand the analogy though, right? So you jump in and you have to make sure, you have to knock that person out or do something so that they don't drag you in and pull you down with them because they're so afraid, right? Because of whatever, they're not stable, right? And so they're trying to grab on and grab a hold to stability, right? And so in doing that, they then destabilize then destabilize the stable molecules. So that is what a free radical is, and that is how it reacts inside the body. So in order to combat free radicals, your body uses things called antioxidants, right? This is where we talk about the reactive oxidative stress, right? So in order to combat that reactive oxidative stress and the free radicals, you consume antioxidants, right? Antioxidants are things that you can find in different sorts of fruit and vegetables, right? Yes, it's cellular warfare, right? So this is why when we talk about cellular integrity, this is why these types of conversations matter. So it is a form of cellular warfare because it does break down the cells. So on a cellular level, we're also talking about the powerhouse, the mitochondria, right? The mitochondria of the cells, it only runs through the maternal line, right? So again, this is why I talk so much and speak so much to women. It is only carried through the maternal line, but it is passed on to, the genetic material through the children, but through the maternal line, right? And so this is why it's this. So when you see all of these external attempts to control the womb of the woman, this is what it's about, right? It is about understanding and being able to manipulate that maternal, that mitochondrial energy. But yes, it is about the body, and it's specifically about the woman's body, right? Now, again, do your research, do your research. One of the things that I always say here, y'all, is I am not a person. So if y'all don't know me, right, I have been a licensed attorney for the last 13 years. I actually don't like arguing. That's the funny thing about it. I really don't. So I don't argue. I'm not here to argue or convince. I speak truth. And that's the truth of what I know, the truth of what I've reached, the truth of what I know, right? And so if that is something other than what you know, let me know, right? Let me know, right? But at the same time, I speak what it is that I know, right? And so I wrote down some questions, right, in terms of how we can really look at restoring and strengthening our own. You know what? If you believe, my sweet, that it is discrimination, then you obviously don't actually, that's okay, right? That's okay, right? And if you don't want to be discriminated against, if that's how you take it, then, you can certainly go somewhere that you're not being discriminated against. But this is called SunDay Cervix Sermons, because I'm talking to those people who have a cervix, who have a womb, right? And those who have women and womb bearers in their lives who they care about, who want to receive this information and who want to have this information. And the reason being is because, again, so often these are things that we don't really talk about. Because I didn't know what I know now until I knew. You know what I mean? And so, all right, so now let's talk about the healthy cell membrane as the gatekeeper, which is what we started talking about, okay? So some of the questions that these different cells can ask is, can you nourish me? Now let me move you over here so I can kind of try to see the camera a little bit. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. I really do appreciate you all. I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you so much. Because here's the thing. I know that you can be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. And I appreciate that. Shout out to Jay-Z, because that was his bars. But I absolutely appreciate it. So thank you all. And even to those who don't agree with me, you don't have to agree. But again, like I said, truth needs no proof, right? That's why I encourage people to do research and to look things up. Because these truths are not going to change if people agree or disagree. Do you see what I'm saying? It just is what it is, right? Okay, so when it comes to healthy cellular membrane as a gatekeeper, can you nourish me? So when you are consuming things, you want to ask yourself, can you nourish me? Can you help me? Can you leave now? Are you not coming in, right? Because like I said, the cellular membrane acts as that gatekeeper, because not only does it, and as a gatekeeper, it acts as a boundary, right? And so it not only keeps things in, but it also keeps things out, right? And so whatever you're consuming, yes, this is absolutely true. And chaos, and here's the thing about chaos, and I want to speak about this, Mick Swagger, so thank you so much for that. Because chaos, again, isn't bad per se. It's the way that the human mind conceives or perceives these things. Now, unregulated chaos, right? That's what we're talking about. But think about the universe in and of itself, in all of creation, right? All of these things happen, right? And if you're looking at it, it looks completely chaotic. A hurricane looks completely chaotic because of the destruction around it, but it is structured. Do you see what I'm saying? Everything focuses around the eye. And that's a whole other bar, right? But everything focuses around the eye. You understand? So what looks like chaos to the universe can sometimes be order. So this is why it's important for us to keep all of these things in perspective, right? And so when you have all of these things because we are both order and chaos, because it takes both to create. We are all of that, right? Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And so that gatekeeping function, keeping things out and keeping things in, that is the integrity, right? Because we can't just have open internal borders. Do you see what I'm saying? We can't just have that, because that's how you allow things that are trying to destabilize your frequency into your field, right? And so that is the integrity. It's being able to know what to allow in and what to let out, because it is flow. And so this is why when we started today, and this is when we talk about speaking to our womb and speaking in the womb that I exist in ease and flow, right? Because your womb is to exist in ease and flow. The womb is not a place for war. And that's what has happened to a lot of women. A lot of women have had wars fought inside their womb. Hear me when I say this. So, and if you are a woman, right, who has ever had a relationship with a man that you have been sexually intimate with and your frequencies are just not matching, right? Sometimes internally you feel, not even sometimes, all the time, right? You feel that internal war because what happens, remember, nervous system, all through your body, nerves, in your womb, nerves. And so when that man enters your womb, whatever is inside his nervous system, he then deposits, right? And thank you so much. May you have the day you deserve. But anyway, so he deposits that inside your womb, and that becomes a part of your nervous system. So when we talk about these, the two becoming one, right? That is on so much of a deeper level, so much of a deeper level, because literally the nervous systems begin to communicate with each other. And so what is in his nervous system and in your nervous system come together, right? And it creates what it creates, right? So it either creates a baby, it creates whatever it creates, because the two have now become one. The two nervous systems are communicating. And sometimes the woman, again, if the two are not hormonally or harmonically, I should say, aligned, then the woman, because the woman's vessel is a receiver, right? This is why our sexual organs are internal, right? We receive internally, right? And then we birth from there, right? And so then what happens is all of those things that person is, we absorb. And because of that, that can make our energy feel chaotic. And that can create internal wars within the woman. Because now she's feeling all of these things. Because so it's deeper than STDs, y'all. Please understand, it's so much deeper than STDs. Because all of the women that he's been with, all of the things that they're going through, they're feeling, all of that stuff, he's carrying in his body. He's injecting it now into her womb, right? And now she's feeling chaotic and she's feeling all of these things that are not necessarily hers. Because women's intuition, we're naturally psychic. We're naturally that way. And the reason we are is because that is a layer of protection that the divine has gifted us to be able to protect those that we love, to protect our families, to protect our communities, to speak life over our loved ones, right? And that is why we have all of these amazing gifts. But when we allow things into our field that disharmonizes that is how we can get thrown off balance and off track. So it goes so much deeper, y'all. So healthy cellular integrity, absolutely. And that's exactly how trauma gets passed down, right? And so that's why it's so important. So you've probably been hearing about, people talking about breaking generational patterns or generational curses. And that's what it's about. Because again, so many people, so many women, right? And I guarantee you, for all of the men that are listening, ask any woman that you know. And I guarantee you, if you talk to 10 of your women friends, you will probably realize that probably more than half of them have been sexually assaulted, raped, molested, abused, something, right? Sexually, that does something to a little girl, that does something to a woman. And so that level of all of those things get transferred, and the tissue, the blood, all of those things hold memory. How do we know it holds memory? Because you're able to give birth to a baby, and then you'd be like, oh, that baby look just like such and such. That baby act just like such and such. Why? Because that's genetics, right? And you know what? Child, let me see if I can. How do I block Victor, child? I'm trying to focus. Let me see. Remove. Okay. Did I? Let me see. All right. So y'all, I am trying. Uh, all right. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm trying. So, I don't know if I've done it because I'll be trying to do this. But anyway, so I don't want to get distracted, y'all, because what I'm saying is this is for those of you who it resonates with and those of you who actually care about this information. So there's always gonna be someone, right? And this is why I say what I say. You know, when you come into my energy, please know that I am exactly who I think I am. And so when I speak these words and I tell you to have the day that you deserve, it is what it is, right? And so for those folks that know who they are, they don't receive that in any sort of way. But my intentions are very clear because I'm here to do what it is that I'm here to do, and I allow no one or nothing to actually stop that, right? Because this matters, because you matter, your cells matter. All of these things are so key. And so I want those who are here for these truths and for this information to be able to receive that. Right. Yeah. Yes. So, all right. So some of the other things, because I want to go ahead and wrap this up, y'all. So, and I want to read this verbatim because I want y'all to really, want y'all to really understand this. Hydration is what allows the membranes to actually do their job, right? Yes, absolutely. An organic machine. And here's the thing, not your body is advanced intelligence. Advanced intelligence. You are not just a human walking around. You are so much more than that. And I am here, and this is why I do conscious creations, because I want you to know what you put on your skin matters. What you put in your body matters because you do. You are advanced intelligence. I was just telling my mom today, every single external so-called governmental system that we encounter are literally based off of the design and the makeup of nature and the human body itself. So you are advanced intelligence, right? But people have been made to believe that they're somehow something else, but you are advanced intelligence. And so I want people to remember who they truly are and to treat themselves as such, right? Okay, so your membranes are the deciders. Nothing enters a healthy cell without permission. This includes glucose, minerals, hormones, amino acids, water, even messages, right? Because that gatekeeper evaluates everything. It decides what comes in and what stays out. Okay? Now, last week we talked about healthy or adequate hydration and the mucosal lining. Okay? So, the vagina, the cervix, the bladder, the mouth, the nose, and the digestive tract are all lined with mucosal tissues, right? So this is where when you get snot and like all this that mucus, your body, hey y'all. So your body needs that mucosal lining, okay? So because yes, your body requires that. That's a part of what helps things to flow through your body. That helps all of the things. And I should have brought my water right now that I say that. So your tissues depend on the adequate hydration as well as the healthy cell membranes, circulation, normal hormone signaling, nutrient availability, and tissue integrity. Okay, so now what I have done is I have created a tea. Now it's not even available on the website yet, so I will actually add the tea to the website today. So y'all can go on the website later today at consciouscreations.live, and I've created a tea that's called Slippery When Wet, because absolutely your body trying to protect itself from an issue. Yes, so that is so what that does, what that extra mucus does is it's actually acting to clear out things that have infiltrated the body. So, like So when you get, like, for example, when you have a cough, they give you what's called an expectorant, right? Why? Because they want you to be able to get rid of that excess. So when we talk about surplus and deficit, this is exactly what we're talking about, right? You don't want to not have a mucosal lining, but also too much. This is a perfect example. This is also where too much of a good thing, right, ain't really a good thing, right? Too much is still too much. So you take an expectorant to get that out of your body, to relieve yourself of that excess, right? And so it's still about balance. Okay, so let me go over these herbs really quick, y'all. Now, like I said, you can pick it up on my website. You can get it on my website, or you can go to your local herb shop and pick it up yourself, whatever, whatever it is that you choose. Marshmallow root, violet, plantain, and not like the fruit, the plantain, but it's a flower or plant that actually grows low to the ground. Rose, I will continue to speak truth. So any energy that is being directed that is trying to prevent me from speaking truth, not here. Rose, calendula, and Solomon's seal. So it's 6 different herbs that are included in this blend. Now, and when I add it to the website, each one is going to tell you exactly why each one of these herbs are added to this blend. But just know the whole purpose of it is to make sure to, again, that healthy cellular integrity. Because each one of these herbs individually and collectively work together to create that internal ecosystem and environment inside your body, right? So the marshmallow root helps to actually, so it has that that slippery, what do you call it? That it has that slippery aspect to it, where it helps to actually coat the cells and things like that, and it helps to soothe irritated tissue, because sometimes in the womb and just in the body in general, when you have tissue that is irritated, it gets inflamed, right? And it is that chronic inflammation that then creates what is called dis-ease, right? So you want to bring down those levels of inflammation, and part of how you do that is making sure that the internal ecosystem is supporting that healthy environment that you're trying to create. Violet. Now, y'all, I love Violet. She is such a beautiful, beautiful, delicate spring flower. So I am in the DC area. And so I should say the DC metro, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And so violet here grows maybe for 6 weeks in the beginning of spring, but it grows low to the ground, and it has these beautiful, delicate purple flowers, y'all. So I actually make several different products with violet, and most of them are tinctures that I make with violet. But the thing about violet that I love is that she has this softness. Like I said, like the if y'all have ever seen violet flowers, they're so beautiful. And again, most people just look at these things as, weeds in the lawn, but there's so much more. Because, and look this up. So herbalists have traditionally used violet for things like growths in the body, like cysts and tumors. Now, please know, I am not a medical doctor. I am a JD, but I'm not an MD, right? So with that being said, please know everything that I'm saying. This is why I encourage people to do your research. So what violet does is the same way that she exists in nature is how she works in the body, right? And so nature speaks. Nature speaks. And so that purple is in correspondence with the crown chakra, right? But also red and blue make purple. So we're also talking about circulation, right? So this is how the body, how violet helps the body. It helps to soften the tissue in the body in order to produce a healthy cellular or healthy flow within the body. And the womb, as we know, requires ease and flow. Okay? Plantain, y'all, I just recently encountered plantain, like, you know what I mean, like growing out in the wild, if you may. But a couple years ago, didn't really know what it was until a couple of years ago, and I You already know. You already know. Yes. And that's a part of the whole spell, right? To treat these flowers and plants as if they are less than when they are everything, right? They're in fact, if you know, you know, they're everything. And so plantain, and you know what? Maybe next week, you know what? But I'd have to actually dig it up, right? But anyway, so plantain leaf, when you look at it, it literally has these, it's almost like a fibrous line that grows through the leaf. And so when I actually use the leaves and dehydrate the leaves or whatever the case, you can actually see and feel, because you know, like with all plants, you can see the lines and things that flow through them. But with plantain, it's different. It's a depth to this. And so that's exactly what it does. It provides structure, right? It gives structure in the body, and it acts as it's an architect, right? It acts as a cellular architect. Now, rose is also added to the blend because roses are just such a beautiful, feminine, soft frequency. And that is so necessary when so many women in particular feel like they have to constantly operate in survival mode, always chasing, going, 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 going. It's important that you are also able to maintain that level of softness in the womb, in the body. And so rose it speaks on that love frequency, right? So it's not just about Valentine's Day, right? But it's Valentine's Day in the womb every day because you are truly giving yourself the love that you deserve. And you're giving it to your cells and giving it to yourself because you deserve that. Now, calendula, calendula actually, it's a yellow flower. Now, yellow, the sun, right? So when you think about any flower that's yellow, you can always correspond and correlate it to the energy of the sun. And that solar energy, that's that get up and go. That's that willpower. That is that very thing that so many systems want to take from you. That willpower. They want to govern your internal sun. They want to take your sun, right? They want to take your solar power, right? And so calendula is this beautiful yellow flower, and it operates on that solar frequency. And so in operating on that solar frequency, it helps to firm up and to shore up your internal willpower. Because one of the things that, again, integrity requires, like I said, is those boundaries, that ability to keep things out and to keep things in, right? And so another thing with the sun is obviously it helps to heal. The sun helps to kill parasites. So let me just tell y'all this story real quick. So, you know what? Let me see if I can flip the camera around, and I'm gonna try to flip the camera around so y'all can see. So if you can see up in this tree, 2 vultures. Y'all see that? So a couple of years ago, there was, and this was like a whole like initiation thing for me, right? So the vultures, let me tell y'all, I feel like it was like thousands of them. Probably wasn't really thousands, but it was a lot of vultures. So much so that I started collecting their feathers because they would drop feathers for me. And so I would collect the feathers. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. But the vultures, one of the things that I watch them, right? I pay attention to nature because nature is literally speaking, like plants and like everything, like you said, Mixwagger. So vultures, if you ever see them, like I saw them like standing on top of the roof, and they had their, you know, like one vulture had his wings out, and I called my mom. I was like, I think the vultures are having a seance, because you know that's me. But anyway, so they were not. Well, maybe they were having a seance. Now that I think about it, so I did research. And what I discovered is because vultures don't eat, they only eat dead flesh. That's it. That is their diet. That is their food source. And so, as you can imagine, in eating dead flesh, they also attract a lot of parasites because of that. So what I realized that vultures do is when they have their wings out to the sun, what it is that they are doing is they are exposing the parasites underneath their wings that they have accumulated through what it is that they eat in order to get rid of the parasites, because the sun kills parasites, sort of like a vampire. You see what I'm saying? So that's what happens. So that's what the vultures do. So I don't know, how did I get there? I don't know. But anyway, whole point is nature speaks. Everything in nature speaks if you are listening. If you have ears to hear, eyes to see, wisdom to intuit, you understand and you understand what nature is saying. The final thing, y'all, the final herb that is added, Solomon's seal. Now, this is like, to me, it speaks so loudly, but it's a root. And so so if you've ever seen Solomon's seal, and next time I go out, and I'll take a picture of it, remember, take a picture of it so y'all can see. But Solomon's seal is a root. It grows underground, of course, but it also sometimes grows above ground. The thing about Solomon's seal, y'all, that is so important, is it has such, it is such a powerful herb, because it does what it does. So if you're familiar with biblical texts, and I'm not, I used to be, I used to be into Christianity and all of the things, and I actually used to teach scripture. I used to study the Bible with people and baptize people. It was, I was a ministry leader for many years, right? That's not my life anymore. I've kind of, evolved to another level of consciousness. And so, but I do know a thing or two about a thing or two. And so Solomon in the Bible was known as a very, very wise king, right? Known for his wisdom. So the fact that this herb is called Solomon's seal, right? And think about what a seal does. It's like a stamp of finalization. It's a stamp of authority. It's you know what I mean? And so that is the effect that Solomon's seal does on the body in the way that it works in the body. And so it actually helps cellular boundary repair. So where you have had weak boundaries in the past, what that does eventually, so when we talk about, again, it causes it causes leakage. When you have porous boundaries, the fluids and all of the goodness that's in starts to leak, right? Because you have porous boundaries, right? Absolutely. So when the boundaries are porous, you want to come in and shore up the boundaries. And that is what Solomon's seal actually does, that it acts as a seal, right? And so it comes in to actually repair, meaning to put together again, right? It puts together again that system, that structure that the body needs in order to allow all of the different things that are happening to happen, because it's now acting as a boundary. It is that structured authority that we need. If I had to liken it to the planets, I would liken it to the planet Saturn, right? Saturn is the planet of structure, of balance, of karma, right? Saturn is just Saturn. That is what Saturn does, right? And so that's the level that Solomon's seal operates on. And so if you know anything about medical astrology, right? In medical astrology, Saturn is also connected to the bones. And that's exactly where Solomon's seal does its magic. So it actually helps to repair damage on a cellular level to the bones, to the structure of the body, right? And without the bones, without the structure, you just be a pile of bloop. Whatever that is, right? Bloop. That's what you be, without the structure, without the bones. So you need that. And that's why Solomon's seal was added to this blend, because it's not just about having all of these feel-good emotions and the softness and the tenderness and all of these things, but it's also having the boundaries, having that fortitude, having a healthy cellular integrity that allows the cells to do what they were designed to do. And that is to give you life, to regenerate, to replenish, not to survive, not just to survive, to thrive. But in order to thrive, we have to stop the energetic leakages, right? And that's men, women, and otherwise. But I say this specifically to women because I know how we are. I know how we are and how we've been trained to be, to give and give and give and give and give. And you're pouring and pouring and pouring from an empty cup, right? And so rather than pouring from an empty cup, you want to establish boundaries. Okay? So, with that being said, I would like to thank every person for being here because your energy is powerful. And I thank you so much for all that you do, for all that you are. I thank you. I thank you for your comments. I thank you for your engagement. And you know what? I am so grateful for all of nature, and everything, because I understand that there's so much wisdom in everything. And the thing about flies, I've come to realize, is that everything has a purpose. Everything has a purpose. So I thank you so much. And thank you. So drink your water. This is my closing benediction for today's Sunday Cervix Sermon. Drink your water, eat your nourishing foods, rest your nervous system, love your tissues enough to give them what they need. Because hydration is not just about filling a cup, it's about creating a body where nourishment knows exactly where to go. May your boundaries be flexible, your tissues be resilient, your membranes remember their wisdom, and for those of us that have a womb, may your coochie continue feeling like healthy cellular integrity. So thank y'all so much. And next week, Sunday Cervix Sermons, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at Conscious Creations Live. Until next time, y'all, love yourself well because you deserve it.